You want to know what it felt like to walk out against Bjorn Borg for the first time? It wasn't the topspin, it wasn't the footwork, it was the silence. I walk out there and Bjorn is already on his side of the court, not bouncing around, not firing himself up, just standing there. And somehow that's the most intimidating thing I've ever seen. I'm a New Yorker. I need noise. I need something to push against. Bjorn gave me nothing, absolutely nothing. So I tried to figure him out. I thought, okay, maybe if I could be more like that, calm, cold, controlled, maybe I'd play better. I actually tried it in practice once, grew the hair out, put on the headband. You know what? I didn't look like Bjorn. I looked like Bozo the Clown. But here's the thing, nobody talks about enough. Certain people walk into a room and the room changes. Bjorn was like that. It's like he put on his Superman outfit before every single match. And the rest of us, we were just guys in regular clothes trying to figure out how to beat Superman.
Look, I'll tell you exactly what made Borg so damn hard to play. It wasn't his topspin, it wasn't his fitness, it was that you could never read him, never. I'm out there throwing everything I've got at the guy, my best shots, my best moves, my best trash talk, and he just looks through me, no reaction, not angry, not nervous, not even slightly bothered. I'm going completely nuts on my side of the net, and he's sitting there like he's taking a Sunday stroll in the park. I remember the Wimbledon final in '77. I'm down 4-love in the fifth set, and I fight back to 4-all. I can feel it. I'm coming back. The crowd is with me. Everything is shifting. Then somebody in the stands makes a comment. I turn around for maybe 2 seconds, and that's it. Gone. I lose 8 of the next 9 points, just like that. That's what Bjorn did to you. He didn't beat you with power. He didn't beat you with anger. He just waited perfectly still, perfectly quiet until you beat yourself. And the worst part, you always did.
Bjorn was the reason Swedish tennis existed at the level it did. Not just because he won, because he made winning look like the only natural outcome. You watch that and you think, okay, this is what it means to be a tennis player from Sweden. This is the standard. I was different from the others. The whole generation around me copied his baseline game, the topspin, the two-handed backhand. I went to the net. My coach actually told me early on, stop playing like a Swede, which was strange advice in Sweden. But the one thing I could not separate myself from, no matter how different my style was, is that stillness. That complete refusal to show anything. I worked on that deliberately, consciously, because I had seen what it did to opponents. When you give nothing away, the other person starts inventing things to worry about. They create their own pressure. Bjorn understood that before anyone else did. Maybe before anyone else ever will.
Borg's topspin was different. Not just heavier than everyone else, structurally different. The ball behaved in a way you could not fully prepare for. It would bounce high, then accelerate. You think you have position, then suddenly you don't. He also strung his racket tighter than anyone on tour, much tighter, you could hear it. There was a specific sound when his racket was strung correctly, almost like a musical instrument. His hitting partner would know immediately if something was off. That kind of precision applied to everything he did. My first Grand Slam final was against Borg, 1981, Roland Garros. I was young, I was confident, I believed I was ready, and for stretches of that match, I played well. But here is the thing about Borg, when you thought you were gaining momentum, he was simply waiting for the next mistake, the next opening, the next moment of weakness. He did not need to intimidate you, he did not need to break your confidence, he just kept returning the ball until the math worked in his favor, and it always did.
I grew up in Sweden, which means I did not just grow up watching tennis. I grew up watching Bjorn Borg. There is a difference. For us, Borg was not a tennis player. He was a national religion. Every kid with a racket in Sweden was trying to be him, the headband, the two-handed backhand, the absolute stillness on court. We did not learn tennis. We learned Borg. And when journalists asked me after I won Roland Garros at 17 whether I was the next Bjorn Borg, I said no. I am not Borg number 2. I am Willander number 1. Which sounds confident, but honestly, it was also a little defensive, because the shadow of Bjorn was everywhere. Every Swedish player who came after him carried that weight. What people outside Sweden never fully understood is this: we copied everything we could see. The strokes, the style, the composure, an entire generation of us, but none of us could copy what was actually inside him. That absolute refusal to lose, that thing that made him different, was never in the technique. It was somewhere much deeper than that.
I want to tell you exactly why I started playing tennis. It was Bjorn, watching him on television as a young boy in Germany, this calm, beautiful player who seemed completely untouchable. I did not want to be a tennis player. I wanted to be that, whatever that was. So you can imagine what it felt like when I won Wimbledon at 17, 4 years after Bjorn last played there. Standing on the same court, holding the same trophy. People said I was the new Borg. I was not. I was just a 17-year-old boy who had watched too much television. What Bjorn and I had in common was that we both arrived very young and very fast. The difference is, he arrived and stayed perfectly still for 6 years. I arrived and burned in every direction at once. When he came back in 1991 with that wooden racket, I understood immediately what he was doing. He was trying to find something he had lost. Every great champion knows that feeling. But most of us are never honest enough to show it so publicly.
The 1980 Wimbledon final, people still talk about that tiebreak like it was the greatest moment in tennis history, and maybe it was, but let me tell you what it actually felt like from my side of the net. I saved 5 match points. 5. I won the tiebreak 18 points to 16. The crowd was going insane. I was playing the best tennis of my life, and I genuinely believed for about 30 seconds that I had broken him. Then we started the 5th set, and Bjorn just reset completely. Like nothing had happened. Like those 18 points meant absolutely nothing to him. I could not get one break of serve. Not one. The whole set. He just held, perfectly calm, perfectly controlled, and closed it out 8-6. Afterwards, I called him, not right away, but later. I told him, don't retire, please. Because what I understood after that match was that Bjorn didn't just make me a better player. He made me understand what it actually meant to compete. Without him pushing me to that level, I was just a very good tennis player. But against Bjorn, I became something more, and I needed that. I really did.
Here's something people forget. Early on, I was beating Borg regularly, 7 straight times. I thought I had his number. I thought, okay, I understand this guy. I know how to play him. I know how to beat him. Then something shifted. He started winning, and he kept winning. 10 straight at the end. 10. What changed? Borg learned me. That's the only way I can explain it. He studied every pattern, every habit, every moment where Jimmy reaches for something extra. And once he had that information, once he truly understood how I played, there was no escape route left. Wimbledon was his house. Not because grass suited his game perfectly, because he decided it was his house, and then he made it true through sheer will. I never beat him there, not once. But I'll say this, Borg never beat me at the US Open either. We each had our territory. The difference is his territory was bigger. 2 of the 4 Grand Slams plus everything in between. Mine was 1 tournament on 1 surface. You have to respect that. Even if it kills you a little bit to admit it, and trust me, it kills me a little bit.
Here is something people forget. Bjorn played serve and volley when he needed to. At Wimbledon, when the match required it, he came forward. He was not a baseline player who got lucky on grass. He was a complete player who chose to look like a baseline player because that is where he was most dangerous. I think about that a lot. The discipline to hide what you are capable of, to show the opponent only what you want them to see. My game was the opposite, everything visible, everything committed, net at every opportunity, and I had success with that. But I always knew there was a level of control in Bjorn's approach that I never fully reached. He managed information, what he revealed, what he concealed, when he accelerated, when he waited. All of it calculated, none of it accidental. Winning Wimbledon in 1988 felt significant, but standing in the same place he stood 5 consecutive times, that felt like a completely different conversation.
Most great champions intimidate you. They want you to feel small, they hit hard to make you nervous, they stare you down, they create pressure deliberately. Borg did none of that. He did not need you to be afraid. He just needed you to play tennis. Because if you played tennis with him long enough, the outcome was almost always the same. His coach, Lennart, once said something that I found very revealing. He said, even if the threat is not there, we create one. Meaning Borg prepared for every opponent, every match, every condition, as if it were the most dangerous situation he had ever faced. A small tournament in early spring received the same preparation as a Grand Slam final. That is not normal, that is obsessive. And that obsession is exactly what made him nearly impossible to defeat. What I took from facing Borg was this talent is common at the top level. Work ethic is less common. But that absolute refusal to treat any moment as unimportant, that is the rarest thing in sport. I try to build my own career around that same principle. Whether I succeeded, others can judge. But I learned what it looked like from the best possible example.
I played Bjorn once. One time in my entire career, Geneva, 1981. He beat me 6-1, 6-1. It was the last tournament he ever won. So, technically, I am the last player Bjorn Borg defeated in a final. I do not know whether to feel honored or embarrassed, probably both. But what stays with me about that period is what happened right after Bjorn went to Wimbledon, lost to McEnroe in the final, and then almost immediately he was gone, retired at 26. The greatest clay court player who ever lived, still physically capable of winning Grand Slams, just walked away. People said it was burnout, maybe, but I think it was something more than that. I think Bjorn had decided very early in his life that winning was the only reason to be on court. Not the competition, not the glory, not the money, winning. And when that feeling started to leave, when losing a final no longer destroyed him the way it once did, he understood it was over. He was honest enough with himself to act on that. That kind of self-awareness is almost as rare as his tennis was, maybe rarer.
After Bjorn left, everyone went looking for the next one. They said it was me. Then Stefan, then Pete, then Roger. Every generation, the same search, the same question. Who is the new Borg? Nobody. That was always the answer. What Bjorn did was not just win. He won in a way that made the game look inevitable. Like the outcome was decided before the first ball was struck. That kind of certainty, it does not come from technique or fitness or even mental strength. It comes from somewhere I genuinely cannot name. I had a version of it on certain days, Pete had a version of it, but Bjorn had it every single day for 6 years. That is the part nobody has ever replicated. I have thought about his retirement many times, 26 years old, 11 Grand Slams, physically still capable of winning more. He simply stopped. For a long time I thought that was a tragedy. Now I think it was the opposite. Most champions cannot leave. They stay too long, chase something that is already gone. Bjorn knew exactly when it was over. That is not weakness. That might be the hardest thing any champion ever did, and he made it look as easy as everything else.